Really happy to welcome Alexander Nevsky to Word Balloon. Alexander is an incredible action hero. He's made 7 films in the last 15 years. He's a former Mr. Universe, and his current film is called Red Prophecies. I've got the trailer for you right now.
Why is everyone so obsessed with political power? It doesn't matter who we're talking about. Everyone has a political agenda. Now, I'm not a politician, but can you imagine, just for a minute, that someone would control the most powerful of them all, the leader of free world? And I'm not talking about some cheap fiction in a book or movie. I'm talking about real life. There are just 2 superpowers in the world: the United States of America and Russia. But not forever, as we can see. Do you believe in happy endings? I don't. And I don't believe in prophecies either.
Wasn't that amazing? This is a tremendous conversation, and I'm really glad that Alexander spent the time to talk to me. I had a couple technical difficulties. My microphone is a little muffled, and I'm nodding like a chimp during the thing. So I really decided to isolate Alexander's picture on the video for the interview. And, we did it over Skype video, and sometimes Skype video can be a little persnickety. And it stopped recording for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then it started up again. So I'll come back and give some context to the second half of my conversation with Alexander. But seriously, really nice guy, and I'm totally rooting for him. And I really do enjoy his films. Several of them are on Amazon Video. Red Prophecies comes out at the beginning of next year, and we should learn more later. And he's also got a great fitness book coming out, his first English language fitness book that we discuss. So it's great to learn his thought process making these films. And much like a lot of my other creative interviews, it's always great to meet an independent creator that's doing his own thing. And I'm really impressed with how much fun Alexander's films are as he continues to make them and as his film process and acting evolve. So I'm going to let you enjoy now this great conversation with Alexander Nevsky. We talked boxing because he started off his career as an amateur boxer, and I wanted to know his thoughts about that as well. Alexander Nevsky on today's Word Balloon.
In Chicago, you have a weather like in Moscow, right? You have whole 4 seasons. You have a summer, you have autumn, you have winter. Yeah, see, that's why I moved not to Chicago. I moved from Moscow to LA. That was the reason.
That's all right. You're smart, man. Exactly. The winters suck. I understand.
You know what? I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But it's funny when they have like kind of cold weather here in LA, and they start to bitching about that, right? I'm telling them, you know what? Let's just go to Moscow for 1 week. And here you will just feel like you're in paradise all the time.
I I hear you, man. That's awesome. I hope we can talk as well about boxing a little bit. I see you're an amateur boxer, and would love to know what you
You did
think of.
boxing also?
I wrote for Ring Magazine and Boxing Illustrated for 16 years, and I
Wow.
covered boxing on radio and television for the Chicago market. But they would send me to Vegas and New York, everywhere to go see fights and everything from 1990 to 2006. That's when I was on the regular beat. But every now and then on my podcast side stuff, I'll talk boxing with people.
You know, of course, I got famous because of bodybuilding. But when I
Yeah.
started, it was boxing. And I was very skinny. And I think I was 14 years old. 14 years
Okay.
old. And my weight, I was almost as high as now. I mean, I had like, I don't know, like 6'5" probably. Now I'm 6'6", but at 14 I was very tall because I was doing
Wow.
basketball before, and I was
Oh,
very
geez.
skinny.
Yeah.
My weight
Interesting.
was like 150 pounds.
Oh my
With
God.
arms like that, I was very skinny. But I was lucky because my father, he used some connections. He was at the university. I was in high school, but he was a professor at the university. And he pushed some trainers over there, and they accepted me at the student team as a trainee. I mean, just to train with them, right? And I fall in
Sure.
love with boxing. And I think
That's
boxing
great.
it's an amazing sport, and you know that. And we're not talking about champions right now. We're talking about just regular people. If you want to
Sure.
change your life, and later when I was doing all that seminars about bodybuilding, and bodybuilding is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I
Yeah.
always told them before you start to build you
Pump up.
outside, right outside, you have to build
Yeah.
yourself inside, and that inner strength that's coming from boxing. And I fell in love with boxing. I was an amateur boxer since like 2000, no, 1987, since I was 16, till probably I was doing boxing till 1992. And
That's great.
I never went professionals. I was just boxed at the university level because I started
Sure.
bodybuilding. And for me personally, as soon as I punched all the bad guys in our schools and on the street, all the bullies, right? After that, because I had very long arms, my arm basically it's like a leg of a person,
Sure.
right? And so on the ring, I was so basically you cannot touch me. I can just punch you, and you cannot just touch me. So
Sure.
I didn't have fun doing that because on the ring, all guys were good, right? Not bad guys. But my trainer Vadim Lutoshenko, who later became one of the pioneers of kickboxing, because
Oh, wow.
kickboxing was illegal in Russia. All the martial arts in
Oh,
Soviet Union, it was illegal, as well as bodybuilding, before the
wow.
perestroika, before Gorbachev. I mean,
Yes.
it could be nice piece for the Ring magazine because, of course, you cover boxing, not kickboxing. But again, all the martial arts and bodybuilding, probably they didn't like it. I mean, government, because of Chuck Norris, who killed so many Russians in his films.
Sure.
Sly and Arnold, they killed so many Russians in their movies, right? Or Soviets,
Yeah.
whatever. So that was a reason. But later, all the boxers, first, they became pioneers of kickboxing, because
I
it's
see.
in kickboxing. I mean, when the karate guys try to do kickboxing, it's hard for them because it's more about arms, not legs, and how you move
I'm
and
with you.
everything. So see, I
Yes.
mean, if we start to talk about boxing, we can talk for hours because I love this sport. And my trainer, he was upset for a long time that I didn't take professional career because I started to gain muscles. And by 1993, I was already like almost like 280 pounds of muscles, and I was doing boxing for 7 years. So he told me then I could fight Klitschko. I couldn't fight Klitschko back
That's what I
then.
was thinking. Yeah,
With the
man.
same height and
Yes.
everything. But I
Yes.
didn't. I didn't. I went into the bodybuilding, but boxing,
Okay.
I still love it, and I still watch. I cannot watch UFC. I don't know about you. I like
I'm the
them.
same way. I'm the
I
same way.
respect
Come
them.
on.
I respect them. Great
Yes, of
fighter.
course.
Great fighters, and everyone who's going on the ring or in the cage, great guy. No questions about that. But me, I mean, give me boxing, classic boxing, and I will watch it all day. So I love that, especially heavyweights.
That's great to hear, man. What do you, I like I told you, I did. I covered it for 16 years. And Bert Sugar who used to run Ring Magazine and later Boxing Illustrated. He was the publisher. He said the same thing. Mixed martial arts. He said it was an invented sport because a little bit of jujitsu, a little bit of kickboxing, a little bit of wrestling, and of course a little bit of boxing itself. And he's just like, that's, that he goes, give me one discipline, one set of rules, and that's why, and again, we were just like you, we're old school. We love classic boxing. So I'm with
And
you.
not just us, because I remember in our boxing gym at the university, at Moscow State Management University, they had like a huge thing on the wall, and it was a quote from Byron, very famous poet, British poet, that
Yes, Lord Byron, sure.
every man has to know how to box. Every man has to, and Byron wrote it in freaking whatever 18 whatever,
right?
Like 50s or whatever. So it's not us who old school. It's all kind of, it's a classic sport, especially for Europeans, for Americans. It's just not for Asian guys. Probably for Asians, it's better to do like martial arts and all of that. But for any guy, I think, to do boxing, it's the best thing for inner strength, to build inner strength.
Well, before we get into Red Prophecies, I should ask you, as a boxing fan and a former boxer yourself, who do you think the best heavyweight is right now? Is it Tyson Fury?
All the time, you mean?
Well, right now. No. Right now, currently. Well, and you can tell me all time too, if you'd like.
You know what? It's hard for me to say again. I respect all of them, but for me, it's much better to say about all-time champions, because
Okay.
I think Muhammad Ali is like an Arnold in bodybuilding, because he wasn't just genius in sport. He was genius as Arnold. Arnold was a genius in bodybuilding, just a genius.
Certainly.
Like Einstein in sciences or whatever.
Indeed.
But
yeah.
it's same thing Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali was amazing boxer. He was amazing man, and he publicized boxing and
Absolutely.
And everything.
Globally.
So well, yes. And I think most of the guys, of course, Mike Tyson, amazing fighter,
Sure.
like real fighter,
Sure.
like Holyfield and all of them. Lewis, I love that time, and that particular time. But Muhammad Ali, for me, always number one. But the problem is, John, how Muhammad Ali boxed, right? He was always, his arms, he never had it like that, right? His arms were always down, right? And he was moving so fast, you cannot touch him anyway. So problem was, I tried to box like that, not like that, but like that. And I got punched so many times when I tried that. So it was clear for me that I'm not Muhammad Ali. But I just loved him, and I think he's number one forever.
Did you, that Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are going to do an exhibition in a couple months? It sounds like November. And everything you just said about Ali, that's my fear for Roy Jones, because just like Ali, his hands were down, and he used his leg movement and would juke out of the way and shift his body and stuff. And when he wasn't able to do that anymore, that's when he started getting knocked out. Now, I know this is an exhibition, and I know that Roy beat John Ruiz at heavyweight, but really he is a smaller man. And I do think both guys are going to respect each other enough that there's not going to be any accidents. But honestly, that's my one concern for Roy Jones fighting Mike Tyson, even now when they're both in their 50s. I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
I agree with you on one thing for sure. I think they respect each other so much. It will be fair and great exhibition. They know what they're doing. They both great fighters, greatest fighters, one of the greatest fighters on earth, right? And they want to give it for fans, and I hope they will give us great show. So you shouldn't be worried too much about that, the flaws or something which he has or Mike had. They're great fighters. They don't have to prove anything to anyone. So I just hope it will be a great show, if I can answer you like that. I respect them and like both a lot.
It's funny too, Julio Cesar Chavez is fighting tomorrow night on his son's undercard and doing an exhibition. And I didn't know about that until I saw it this week. I was looking forward to watching Chavez Jr. and see what's left of his career. But it's, again, it'll be interesting to see his father do it. Did you watch when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor? I appreciate the tangent. I hope I'm not wasting your time talking about boxing.
Of course, I mean, come on. I love it. And I appreciate you love boxing so much. I thought we'll talk about movies, but see, we have another thing in common. We love boxing. Yes, I watched that fight when Floyd fought McGregor. And, I'm very positive and very respectful person. So again, if we talk about UFC, all the guys who's doing it professionally over there, they deserve a lot of respect. They deserve all the fame and money they get, and there's no questions about that. But when you fight professional boxer in the ring, I think it's kind of the same thing if you put professional boxer into the cage. Because I remember I spoke about that with Oleg Taktarov. Oleg Taktarov, who was the first Russian UFC champion back in 90s, and he was in movies. You probably saw him in 15 Minutes, in Predators. And Oleg, he was a great sambo and judo fighter, and also he started boxing, of course. And we spoke to him. I remember we spoke that, there's always talk who will win, if boxer will fight wrestler or whatever.
Yes.
And I remember our conversation. Actually, I had the same conversation with Steven Seagal, who's a great Aikido master and everything, but not a boxer. So basically, if I hit you with my arm, if I get you by my arm, that's one thing, you're done. But if I miss and you come to me and you start to break me and whatever, of course, I'm done. So
sure.
To put them against each other, I mean, on the ring, of course, Floyd, he's a great boxer. He had, all the advantage. And I think McGregor, he did a great job. But if you ask me, I think still it was more an exhibition than like a real fight. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I think Floyd, as you say, it was his sport, so he had the advantage, obviously. But I also think that Floyd really did look his age and looked like a 40-year-old guy because he lost his footwork and was literally kind of walking around the ring more than dancing and on his toes. And it was fine and he also was very patient, and I think he just let McGregor wear himself out and took advantage when he did. And once he turned it on, then McGregor was done. It was intriguing as an idea, but once they were in the ring and you could see both styles, like I felt, all right, this is going to be easy for Floyd. And you could see, to me, it was just he was pacing him, walking him down, as they used to say.
But they made a lot of money, and they did a great. A lot of people were happy, right? So I'm happy for them. Yeah,
that's very funny, man. That's great. I appreciate the boxing tangent. So, Red Prophecies, man, is this your 7th film or your 8th film that you've made? In terms of you making the films, as a producer and sometimes director.
So I directed just one film. One film. It was Black Rose,
which I really liked, by the way. Great movie.
Did you see it on Netflix?
Yes, I did, and I genuinely enjoyed it. Truly.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
I appreciate that. And as an actor and producer, I did 7 films. Yes, I think it's the 7th films. 7th film, Red Prophecies. And as an actor, I did some other things when I just came here to Hollywood. I was in Red Serpent with Oleg Taktarov and Roy Scheider. Great late Oscar nominee. And I did Undisputed, which was a boxing film, original Undisputed with Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames. It was actually my very first film in America.
I'm going to have to look for you in that because I interviewed Walter Hill about that film when it first came out.
See, it will be hard for you to watch me, but Walter was so impressed. He put my name. I was an actor and a stunt guy. He put my name first in the stunt guys. So first stunt guy is Alexander Nevsky.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly. And I'm fighting Michael Rooker. In a big in a big rampage scene over there. You can see me, but you'll have to use that steel thing and everything. But
Okay.
you will find me. But again,
great.
for me, it was, I mean, that's how I got my Screen Actors Guild card and everything. I mean, it was a great experience. It was first film. But Red Prophecy actually is an interesting project because, you know, I don't do much of the thrillers. I don't know if you watched my previous films, because my previous one was Maximum Impact, directed by Andrzej Bartkowiak, who directed Doom, with Dwayne Johnson and Roma Must Die and everything. And before that, I did Showdown in Manila, actually with
That one I
all
saw.
idols from 90s. Did you see that one?
I
Showdown in
did, and I
Manila.
enjoyed it. I
And then,
enjoyed Showdown in Manila. Absolutely, it was a lot of fun. Great
can you
movie. A lot of
with everything we spoke about boxing and mixed martial arts, whatever, but can you imagine me, fan of 90s, being in a jungle, making a film, and I have Olivier Gruner from Nemesis. I have Cynthia Rothrock. I have Don the Dragon Wilson, who is one of the
Yes.
greatest kickboxers of all time. I have Matthias Hughes from Dark Angel. I have Kerry Tagawa from Mortal Kombat. I mean, I have them all with me over there in the jungle. I mean, it was like a dream. But it was action. And actually, Mark Dacascos, who is like real martial artist, not just an actor, you saw him probably in Last John Wick. He did a great job in Last John
That's
Wick
right. Yes.
with Keanu Reeves. So Mark was a director, and it was his directorial debut. He was also in the film. But my point is, Red Prophecies is a little bit different. Red Prophecies is a thriller, and I don't show muscles. I'm always wearing suit and everything. And actually, for that one, I always have Arnold or Sly as an inspiration for my films. And for that one, actually, I was inspired by John Travolta. If you remember Swordfish, great
Sure.
action thriller. Yes, and John Travolta
Absolutely.
is amazing. And you watch the film and you don't know if he's a good guy or bad guy. You have to watch all film through. Same about Red Prophecies, you know, and you have to watch it all to understand if I'm good or bad. But we shot it in Moscow. We shot it in Moscow, almost all scenes. And we worked on that film for a long time. And we have a lot of great actors in the film, like Eric Roberts, who is Oscar nominated and Golden Globe nominated actor. And Michael Madsen. I mean, he's in every Tarantino movie. He even was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, with little part,
Sure.
but I think Tarantino using him all the time. And
Oh, yeah.
Odette from Resident Evil, and Casper Van Dien, my friend Casper Van Dien, who did great job in Showdown in Manila, and of course, I mean,
Yeah, man, your old co-star. That's great.
and he's an icon after Starship Troopers. He's just an icon, you know. And Stephen Baldwin, I was working with his brother, with Billy Baldwin. I was working on Maximum Impact, and here there was Stephen. But you have to watch this film from the beginning to the end to understand who I really play, because it's a thriller, and suddenly it's very timely thriller, because basically it's about Russian and American, as I always have it in my films, because in my films, Russian and Americans, they don't kill each other. You know, they support each other and they work together. There's so many movies on both sides when they're killing each other or hate each other, whatever. I never do that. As you see, I'm very positive always, and I'm trying to bring positive message on screen. And that's why I never really played bad stereotypical Russians in the films. But in Red Prophecies, again, it's American journalists and it's a Russian FSB officer. And together, they didn't like each other first. They did. But they have to work together to prevent huge international crisis. And there is some mysterious power which want to, you know, crash political situation in Russia first and interfere with American presidential elections after that. So basically, they have to figure out who really behind the Red Prophecies, you know, who is trying to do that. And the problem we had on the film, John, again, we shot it in Moscow, right? Almost like 90% of the film.
Okay.
And after that, suddenly, Mir changed completely. So suddenly, we have a pandemic, and you cannot shoot anything anywhere, right? And we have to finish the film.
Right.
So when they kind of opened it up here in California first in June, before they closed it again, they kind of opened it up in June. We decided to finish shooting, and we had like about 10 days of production here in LA, using the masks and all of that. And we finished the film, and we finished post-production. And Joe Blow, my friends at Joe Blow, John Fallon, was nice enough to take a trailer, and trailer actually became like the most popular trailer on Joe Blow in September. They had about
Hey, that's
200
awesome.
views already for independent
That's
film.
great.
Yeah, that's good. So we finished the film, and when you watch it, you will not see my muscles, but I think it's a nice action thriller with a lot of suspense, and again, very timely one.
Yeah, no, the storyline sounds great, and also I have been talking to television and film people that were working up until the pandemic and how they're handling post production during the pandemic, and so I'm glad you were able to get everything done, and it's going to come out at the beginning of next year. Is that the plan?
The plan is yes, about North America first. In North America, probably January, February. We will
Great.
figure it out at AFM because American film market will happen in the first week of November. And of course, I mean, first
Oh,
time,
okay.
yeah, it will be online, but still, everyone will be talking to each other about releasing dates, about independent films, how they always do it, AFM. So hopefully in November, we will have a release date.
Now, this is where we lost the video recording for a couple minutes, but I was able to get him back. And this is the part of the program where Alexander talks about his Mr. Universe career, which translated into him getting a fitness program on Russian television. And it was an extremely popular television show. So Alex will then pick up the conversation at that point.
The TV show Self-Made Man, when it was on Channel 1 Russia, which is like NBC and ABC together for American people, that's how it was for Russia.
Okay.
What I taught them, believing in themselves, I taught them some simple exercises, but I spoke about boxing in every show. I spoke about boxing, and I even taught them a little bit like simple things, not only how to put your arms or your chin, whatever. Not only about that, I also spoke a lot about philosophy of boxing because I think boxing, again, going back. See, we spoke about movies, and now I'm going back to boxing. I think
That's
boxing
all right.
is the thing which really can make you fearless, in a good sense. In a good sense, you know. And when you're fearless, you and still smart but fearless, you can achieve a lot in your life. And going back to Red Prophecies, and that situation with pandemic, which you just mentioned, with a lot of people trying to do something or don't know what to do, especially in movie
Yeah.
business. Because movie business, again, it's completely changed. And I mentioned Russia because at that point, to be honest with you, I don't know how it will happen there. Because I don't know how many theaters will take a film or how many theaters will survive and then whatever.
Sure.
But
Yes.
I think, John, and I hope you'll agree with me, it's all up to you. It's all up to you if you basically decide to yourself that you're unwilling to give up. You will not give up. You will continue fight. It's all up. That decision is up to you. Fight or not to fight. Give up or not give up. And I just hope that, independent filmmakers, first of all, independent filmmakers, because they always have some troubles, even before the pandemic, to put together independent film, especially on a bigger scale with names, with worldwide release. I mean, it's it's a huge fight. It's a huge struggle to make it all together. Now it's even harder. But if you are unwilling to give up, again, you will do it. You will find a way. And boxing, actually, great thing which help you with that. Because if you're a boxer, even amateur boxer, or even if you do it like for a couple days every week, I mean, you still have that inner strength in you, which is very important, especially in challenging times like that, I think.
I agree with you, man. No, it's as you know, I've got a big broadcasting background. I've worked at CBS Radio for a very long time, and I have done a little bit of television. So I am fascinated, sadly, because we're in this weird situation. But it is interesting to see how broadcasting is reacting to this, and how the movie business is reacting to this. These are uncharted waters. We've never had these kind of situations before. Even during the world wars, movies still happened, radio still happened. This is, and television was still in its infancy. But yeah, so I find it interesting, and I appreciate you talking about this, and yeah, like where these films are going to make it, and how. I mean, again, I would imagine that a lot of your films do go to Redbox and immediately video on demand, and I'm sure you get good success from those platforms. Now more than ever, they're even more important because even more of the general public are turning to those platforms rather than going to the movie theater. So it's an interesting time. But I do think a film like yours is well suited for video on demand, and not taking nothing away, because I'm sure as you're making these films as an actor and as a producer, I'm sure you're thinking big scope. But it's again, it's and the also the other good news is with giant televisions, they can people have home entertainment systems, so they can appreciate it and still get the big scope feel even at home. Not as big as the theater, but you know what I mean?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And it's funny you mentioned CBS and how everything changed. But again, I remember when Maximum Impact was out, I think a couple of years ago. And I made my debut on CBS. I was invited to the morning show to speak about the film.
Oh, great.
And I don't know if you've been here in LA at CBS. It's a huge, territory, huge studio. So I got lost.
Oh, yeah.
I got lost first, right? After that, of course, I had some funny things with my English language, because when I actually found the right studio, there was a guard, and he asked me, "So, Alexander, what will you talk about?" And I told him, "I will talk about my new film." And said, "Oh, you will talk about NFL?" I said, "No, not the NFL, film, my new film." So basically, before I even get to this, of course, I repeated all in the studio when I got to them, because there was like two amazing pretty girls talking to me about that. And of course, we made fun of my accent and my English and all of that.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. And when I was doing CBS show a couple of months ago, I was doing it over Skype. And what I was talking about simple exercises, which everyone can do in the home, because I don't know about Chicago, but gyms in LA are still closed. How about Chicago, by the way? Can you go to the
No,
gym?
they're closed. They're closed. I bought a gym style exercise bike, so that beyond walking and stuff, I can do a little bit more cardio and take care of myself at home. No, it's still bad. And I wouldn't even. They did open the gyms, but we're all nervous because the spikes go up and down. So you don't want to take any chances. Absolutely.
You're absolutely right, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't exercise. You should, and you're doing it. And you're smart, probably like me, because when it all started in March, I was kind of like one of the first ones who ordered like 300 pounds barbells and dumbbells online. Because now, if you try to order it now, you will get it after Christmas or something. It's just, even if you thousands of dollars. Everyone's trying to do it now. But I was smart, like I did it back in March. But my point is, what I'm doing now, it's not just film business. Again, I was lucky. I finished the film. I have another film and everything. But I'm trying to push people to remember that if you exercise, if you take care of yourself, all the dark times, they will be gone. But you will stay, and you will be even in better shape. So I have your number. So I will text you the link. So you will check that show, and you will see some exercises you can do in your home. So maybe it will be
great. Oh my God, no, I could use it. I don't know if you can tell or not, Alexander, but I'm a wide man, so I got to lose weight, but that's all right. I've done it before, and I will do it again. I got a little sad for a while, and I kind of food was comfort, but no, those days are gone, and especially now when I know I have no choice and can't go to the gym as I love to. I love to swim, and it was easy for me to lose weight swimming. I adored it. But right now you can't even do it. And they even won't let me go to the beach for Lake Michigan. The beaches are closed because of the pandemic as well. So it really sucks. Yeah.
Beaches are closed over there.
Yeah.
They're closed.
Yeah.
You said they're closed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir. So we can't swim. So that's why I bought the exercise bike. And I'm like, all right, let me do what I can. And I also have pulleys to kind of hook onto the door and do pull-ups and things to work the upper body. So, But no, I absolutely would welcome some links. I appreciate that. That'd be terrific.
I'll send you.
Thank you. That's great, man.
Seriously. So you wrote so much about boxing, and you're a huge fan of boxing yourself. Did you do boxing yourself? On amateur level or a little bit?
No, just fooling around in the ring. Local fighters and referees showed me the footwork, showed me things, and just to, and I learned how to hit the speed bag with a good rhythm and hit the heavy bag. A couple of my friends were former Chicago Bears, and they liked boxing to keep themselves in shape, and they had heavy bags and speed bags and stuff. So, but no,
You enjoyed
I
it.
just
You tried it.
yeah, I just grew up loving the sport, and I got to interview Muhammad Ali in the early '90s,
You
right
spoke.
before Evander Holyfield fought Foreman.
Uh-huh.
And it was great speaking to Ali, even though he had the Parkinson's syndrome and he trembled and he had a bit of a stammer. His mind was sharp. His mind was really sharp. And he was saying, he said, "Listen, I'm not saying that Foreman's going to pull an upset, but it wouldn't surprise me if he can really take care of himself." He's like, George is a different fighter than he was in the '70s, and this was, during his comeback. And he's like, he's taking his time, he's watching, he's measuring a fighter, and he goes, he didn't do that when he fought in the '70s. He goes, he threw everything at you at once, and now he's a patient fighter, and he really lets guys come in, and then he still got the power, and it was great, and he was right, and it was that was a very entertaining fight when Foreman fought Holyfield, and I had the opportunity to interview Foreman a few times over the years when he was working with HBO, and that was great because I always say he portrays the comedian when he would do HBO fights. But if you talk to him in a press situation, all of a sudden he was all business and had great analysis of the fights. And I would tease him and go, "Hey, I like this George Foreman. How come we get the clown on TV?" And he laughed and he said, Larry Merchant's the expert. Jim Lampley's the play-by-play guy. They got me to talk about cheeseburgers. He said, "That's okay." He goes, "I accept that role." But he goes, "When we're in a serious situation like this, I'll give you the straight stuff." And I'm like, that's fantastic. And it was a real pleasure talking to him over the years and then getting interviews with Foreman about other fighters. He was amazing.
Mm.
Very cool, man. Well, dude, I'm serious. No, Red Prophecies looks great. And I hope it's an evolution in your acting and then the opportunity to play, more complex characters and stuff and then do something, like you said, where it's not all muscle and you get to play something a little more cerebral. You got great people around you like Eric Roberts and Michael Madsen. I think that's terrific. Let me ask you about a movie you made early on, and was it called, I'm looking at my notes, Somewhere, the Sofia Coppola movie. Is that working on, how was that?
In that one, you will find me without still promoter or something. You will find me. I had a cameo in the film, and Sofia asked me to do it, and it was a great experience. I am in the film for 1 minute, but come on, Benicio del Toro in the film also for 1 minute, and I like her. And of course, I like your father a lot. And I think Francis
God, yeah.
one of the greatest directors ever. It was an interesting experience, but I think it was the same year I was doing Magic Man, one of my films. And actually, Magic Man was the first film I really produced completely in the United States. We made it in Vegas, so I had much more fun on Magic Man compared to Somewhere. But again, in Somewhere, I also was wearing suit. I was playing a journalist, and I was talking to Steven Dorff, who was playing the lead. But let me talk a little bit about muscles, because we spoke so much about boxing, and I kind of feel we should talk about muscles just a little bit, because
of course, yes, I mean your career.
What I did during the pandemic, John, how I use my free time. I finished my first English language book, my very first one, because in Russia, there were like 10 books were published over 25 years period, but I never wrote anything in English. And I finished my first English language book. It's called From Zero to Action Hero, From Zero to Action Hero. And I will be published the same time Red Prophecies will be out here in the States. And that book is about my journey from the nerd to an action hero in this universe. And of course, I'm writing about boxing, but also like first part of the book is my autobiography. And second part of the book is kind of like a natural bodybuilding guide for everyone who want to train muscles and want to do it without drugs, without anabolic steroids, just, for your health, to make yourself stronger. So the book will be out next year, hopefully at the same time as Red Prophecies. So don't get me wrong, we can talk about boxing or movies all day long, but of course I love bodybuilding, and I think like real bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding is can help you and can push you forward as well as boxing, especially if you kind of do it together and you have inner strength and you have like real physical strength. I mean, sky is the limit in that case, I think, for
That's
everyone.
terrific, man. No, honestly, that's terrific, and congratulations on writing that book. And I think you're right. I think again, your experience as a Mr. Universe and all you've done in bodybuilding can only help you. And I think alongside your acting career, I think it's smart to have both feet in those worlds and combine them. I'm sure a lot of people will see your films, and then if they do see that you've got this book out, they're going to want to know how you became the specimen that you are, man. I mean, that's awesome. So that really, that's great. Would you want to do a fitness television show, or in some form? I don't know where the fitness video world is like it was, in the 80s and in the 90s and stuff. So I don't know what the right platform is from a video standpoint to do fitness.
For me, my career is very strange because when I came here first time in 1998, in the end of 1998, just for 10 days, I went to Los Angeles. And before that, I came to LA, to New York and to Columbus for Arnold Classic, just to watch Arnold Classic in the beginning of 1998 for 1 week. And in the end of 1998, I came to LA for 10 days. When I came here, I kind of like arrived to the moon. No one knew me. No one understood me. I didn't have any connections. So when I moved here in 1999 and started to learn at the UCLA and the Strasberg Theater Institute, it was basically, again, from zero. But in Russia, I mean, my career in Russia started in 1993. And talking about fitness videos, my TV show was basically first ever fitness video in Russia, but it was on TV every freaking week, and a lot of people watch it. So for me, of course, it's fun to see how new audience start to know me. But basically, it's like that great movie with Bill Murray. Remember Groundhog Day? So basically, you had it all before in different language, right? In Russian, explaining about you, explaining about muscles and everything. And now you're doing it all again in broken English and, and stuff like that. But it's all fun. So I don't know about fitness video, but I hope people who will read my book, they will get a message which Russian audience getting from me for many years. Again, it doesn't matter where you start. And it's not all about muscles, it's not all about that. You can change your life. And I'm trying to explain using my example that it's really possible. It's really freaking possible. You can do it, That's what my book is about. And fitness video, I cannot promise you that. But of course, I will continue. I will continue to push bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, like real bodybuilding everywhere. There's no questions about that.
That's great. On the movie side, after making a film now like Red Prophecies, do you want to do more, cerebral and kind of more complex films than, the initial action films that you've made so far?
To be honest with you, to be completely honest with you, no. I want to go back. Now I want to go back and do more like straight genre film because I got tired a little bit and wearing my suit. I want to do something more actiony. But if we talk seriously, I represent Russia at the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and I vote for the Golden Globe Award every year.
That's great. Yeah.
So I watch everything because we own this ceremony which award not just for movies but also for TV together. So we're doing all. So we watch all the films, all the television films, all the television shows, independent foreign language films, everything. And of course, my movies are not exactly Golden Globe materials yet, but I'm a huge fan of movies since I was a kid, probably like you are, just any movies. I can watch them all day long.
Sure.
The only genre which I never tried is a horror. I never tried horror. So between me and you, and I never told it to anyone, between me and you, what I want to make next, I want to make a horror film, like a straight horror film because I'm a huge fan of horror genre too, you know. And I never did that. I never tried it.
That's
So
great.
probably will be horror.
That's fantastic, man. Also I cover certainly all the superhero movies, and a guy that's built like you would think, there's got to be some jobs out there for either the Warner Brother DC heroes or the Disney Marvel movies and stuff. Would you how much do you know about the genre, and do you see yourself ever doing that kind of movie?
I love that genre, and I love comics. And to be honest with you,
That's great, man.
I'm a huge fan of DC comics since I was a kid. I don't know how my friends were getting it in Soviet Union, but we had some. It was illegal to get it into Russia, but somehow we watch it and we have it.
Wow.
But me personally, I always loved Batman because compared to Superman, Superman was an alien, great guy, great physique, whatever, but he was an alien. And Batman, he was like a real man. He couldn't fly himself. He couldn't. It was a real man. I mean, in great shape, great fighter, fearless guy. So I loved Batman, and I really like Michael Keaton. I think he was a good Batman and everything. Great Batman, and everyone else who was after him. But Ben Affleck, I think, was the first one who got it really, because he was, for the film, he was in a great shape. He was sometimes in dark mood, sometimes a lot of things, but he was strong, and he was an amazing Batman. So that's why, when they got the guy from the that movie, what is it, Mr. Pattinson, when they got him for the Batman,
the new one.
That was, before due respect, it was hard for me to accept, but of course I wish him well. And
we'll see.
Exactly, we'll see. Plus, there's a rumor that Ben Affleck will be back for some other kind of Batman film. There's a rumor here in Hollywood. But talking about me, since the beginning of my career, I started to get offers pretty fast. But what I started to get in the beginning of the 2000s, it was that stereotypical Russians. And of course, it broke my heart to say no. For example, to Avi Lerner, Jean-Claude Van Damme, when they wanted to use me in the film The Order with Jean-Claude and late Charlton Heston. They wanted to use me in that film, and I couldn't because I didn't want. I was honored, but I didn't want to play the bad stereotypical Russian. I couldn't play that. And it was same thing when one of the TV shows, Battle Dome. It was on UPN. Now I think it's CW channel. They had a show kind of like American Gladiators, and it was a nice contract for me. I think it was 2001. It could be nice money, like every week, and insurance and SAG and all of that. I couldn't take that either, because it should be stereotypical Russian fighter. And it was basically offer after offer like that. And I couldn't play it. I couldn't go back to my audience in Russia with parts like that. Again, with all due respect to the guys who is doing that, I never did. So I kind of understood very fast that if I want to be a leading man, I have to be smarter. I have to produce. And actually, it was Arnold. It was Arnold who told me first about producing. Because when Ralph Mueller is a great guy, big guy. He was in Gladiator. He was in Conan TV show. He was in Best of the Best. He was also Mr. Universe. Ralph Mueller he's my friend. He's like brother to me. He introduced me to Arnold Schwarzenegger many years ago. And he's like a brother to Arnold, like a little brother to Arnold. And he's one of his closest friends. And Arnold told me, like 20 years ago, Arnold told me that if you want to really make it over here, you have to understand how to push forward without any help, how to be independent and push forward. You have to understand how to produce. And he said it to the guy who just arrived, didn't even act yet, didn't even speak English well, whatever. So, like 17 years later, when I invited them to watch Maximum Impact, first cut of Maximum Impact with me, so can you imagine me sitting with Arnold and Ralph, watching Maximum Impact, who was shot by Andrei Bartkovik. And Andrei Bartkovik was the director of photography on Twins. He knew Arnold. He was working with him before. So for me, it's all like dream come true, even without parts in DC or Marvel movies, because I'm very realistical. I'm very realistical. Of course, I'll be open to something like that, but even without it, I will continue to push forward, move forward, and maybe one day I will produce the superhero film. And for a long time, I'm thinking about very first superhero, Hercules. He was the very first superhero,
Sure.
right? Very, very first one who started it all. Yeah, so I think I still have it in me, kind of like a dark, cool film about Hercules.
Oh, that's a great idea. Hey, seriously, whether it's comedians or other actors and stuff, I'm glad Arnold told you that, and I'm glad you're doing it. Make your own opportunities rather than wait for someone to give you an opportunity. And you're making the kind of movies you want to make, and that's terrific, man. And seriously, that is the great thing I think with technology of the last 30 years, that independent people can make their own movies and have success. That has happened. I've talked to a lot of other actors and creative people, screenwriters and performers that make their own films. And I think that's terrific, man. And good for you because, yeah, you're carving your own way. And, God, you've already made 7 films. That's wonderful. I mean, that's really amazing. So, no, all I can say is terrific and good. And truly, and forgive the comment, I hope you take it in the right way, but I see the improvement with every film. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the whole cut of Red Prophecies because truly, I think you're on the right track, and I give you a lot of credit for making your own opportunities and making movies the way you want to make them. That's terrific, man.
Thank you. And see, like in a good film, we started with that, and we're talking about that again. It's all about fighting for your dream. It's all about unwillingness to give up, and even in the dark times like that. And we're not talking about just filmmakers. We talk about all the members of your audience. A lot of people watching you. A lot of people don't know what to do much and how to move forward, but they have to. They have to continue to fight for their dreams, and that's the only way to get through. That's my honest opinion.
Hey, man, that's great to hear, and I appreciate that attitude. And I think you're right, and that's how things get done. And you don't wait for things to happen. You, like I said, you make your own moves, and you, like you said too, getting healthy and building yourself up gives you the confidence to move forward. So, no, I hear what you're preaching, Alexander. Absolutely, man. And you've been very generous with your time. The film is called Red Prophecies. It's Eric Roberts, Michael Madsen, yourself, and it's a great Russian-U.S. Political intrigue film. And the trailer looks fantastic. People will see it as I present our conversation. But yeah, all the best, man. And seriously, next time you've got a new project, please come back. It'd be great to talk to you more, and I'd love to. We can talk more boxing too.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. I'll be back only if you promise me we'll talk more about boxing, because you're a great fan and you're a great promoter of boxing. Thank you for that, because it's a great sport. It's a great sport. Thank you, John.
Honestly, man, it's been a pleasure getting to meet you and know you. And like I said, I look forward to our next conversation. Good luck with the Red Prophecies.
Thank you very much. And good luck to you too with everything, okay? And talk to you soon.